Welcome to Conversations with Spirit, where we dive deep into the mystical and enchanting realms of spirituality. I'm your host, spiritual medium Lauri Albert, and together with special guests, we explore a world of spiritual insights and experiences, as well as offer captivating mediumship and oracle card readings. Tune in for enlightening conversations that will uplift your soul and expand your consciousness.
Hey friends! How is everybody? I hope everybody's having a great day today. I am working really hard on getting everything together here. Yeah, there you are. I have a very special guest with us tonight. Somebody, and I know that I'm bringing on this show all of the people that I love, right? But, Melanie Rose, who is my special guest tonight, and when I first met her, it was kind of like we had a very similar story and we have a lot in common. And so it's another one of those sort of kindred things, just like a kindred spirit. Like I feel like I understand her in a special way, So I want to introduce Melanie Rose. Melanie Rose is a natural psychic medium. Since early childhood, she has perceived energy in an extrasensory way. And she studies, check this out, you guys. She has studied at the world-renowned Arthur Findlay College, which I'm dying to go to someday, as well as Star, which I've never heard of, so I apologize if I botched that, School of Mediumship in Folkestone, Kent. Boy, I'm botching it all tonight, right? As well as the International School of Clairvoyance right here in the United States. Melanie continues to sit in mediumship circles, as well as many other groups for training and enhancement, as she should. We all should. I shouldn't say she should, right? That sounds goofy, but we all should, right? Melanie, wait till you hear what she does, you guys. Oh my gosh. She is a psychic medium, first and foremost, right? But she does animal communication. She also does astrology and remote viewing, and what I'm super excited to talk about tonight, psychic detective work. So get your questions ready for her, because this is going to be an extraordinary evening, because the questions that I have about this it's going to be really cool. So hi, Melanie. Thanks for coming. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yay, I'm super excited. And we haven't spoken for a while, so this is like, how you doing? What's new?
Yep.
I love it. I love it. We are live, you guys, on 2 different YouTube channels, 2 different Facebook channels, as well as my Instagram. And so we've got a lot of areas that we can look at, right? So let me just say hello to a couple people, Charsky and Stephanie and Soulful Wanderer, which I love, right? Jay Perez NY, Allie, Moni, Keith, my buddy Keith. And thanks for coming up, everybody. I appreciate you guys joining us. So Melanie, and Anha. Hi, Anha. Thanks for being here. So, Melanie, and we talked about this just a few minutes ago, but I find it fascinating to ask people their sort of story, how they realized that they had spiritual gifts and how they developed them. So, could you grace us, please, with your story?
It's not, I guess it's my story, but so when I was young, like 5, well, actually, when I was 11 months old, my dad died. And when I was, when I was like 4 or 5, I would see him in our living room. And I knew who he was, and he made me aware that other people don't see him. And it was just, I didn't think anything of it. And I
Right.
just was like, oh, there's my dad. Because like we had pictures around of him, and my mom and my family would talk about him. And he wasn't always there, but like I would just see him every once in a while, and I'd be like, oh, okay, there's my dad. So that early on, I have those memories. And then, throughout my life, I've had like weird random things, some very weird. And I really spent most of my life not paying attention,
Hmm.
not thinking, oh, I want to know more. Like I was like, nobody sees that. Nobody knows what I'm talking about. Like it's just not something that I talked about.
Right.
And my family was not like an open family like that,
Yeah.
and we had a lot going on in my family. Like it was chaotic. I had a large family and so much going on. So later in life, these things, the best way, I have it on my website, the best way I can describe it is it got louder. And
that's a great way of describing it. Sure.
Yeah, it wasn't anything in particular. It was just like this push to know more. And I would say, like, I knew when my uncle was going to die. I knew when my grandmother was going to pass as well. And the only person I told was my mom.
Mm-hmm.
So like around that time, I was like, what is going on? You know what I mean? Like, just kind of, I just started paying attention more. And then I still kind of stuffing it back. And then I got married and I started having kids. And my oldest son had an imaginary friend. And I was like, oh, okay. And I didn't go to spirit first. Like I didn't think that. And then he kept talking and I was like uncomfortable. And I was like, what is this? So more and more I was like, I need to start figuring this out because like my kids and I eventually kicked that imaginary friend out. Like I don't know that it was bad. I don't know if it was good. I just knew that I was uncomfortable not knowing and having conversations and reading to my son.
Yeah.
So it could have been something good. At the time, I just was pregnant with my second baby, and I was just like, "What is going on?"
Yeah.
And I just was like, I realized, oh, it's a someone, and I was like, you need to go. I'm not comfortable. You need to go. And then the next day, my son was like, oh, he can't come and see me anymore. And I was like, oh, darn.
Oh, wow.
So it was very eye-opening, to say the least. So
now, was that right at the beginning of when you started kind of starting to develop yourself? Or
no, it just was kind of the kick to be like, my kids are seeing things.
Yeah.
And talking to things.
Right.
So then later later on when my kids were a little bit older, I decided like, I really need to figure this out.
Yeah.
And I actually went to a medium and I was like, what do you have to tell me? And she's like, what did you need to know? And I was like, I don't know, whatever you need to tell me. And I sat and she looked at me and she was like, all right, and she laid it out. And she's actually still a well-known medium in my area. And she kind of kicked me in the ass and told me like, this is what's happening. And then suggested that I went to Arthur Findlay in the UK.
Oh, wow.
And I went home and I was like, well, I want to learn from the best. And I looked online and the first class at Arthur Findlay in, Europe, was in 2 weeks.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I called my husband and I was like, I'm going to go to Europe in 2 weeks. And he's like, and he goes, honey, go. You've been trying to figure this out. Just go. Like,
oh, that's so cool. Oh, how great supportive. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, he knew that I'd been like, he didn't understand, but he understood that I needed to figure it out. So yes, he was very supportive. So I did end up going, and that kind of led me on my way. And I realized I was reading people and I didn't know it. And, you know, when I was younger and I had a big mouth and I would just say what I thought everyone was thinking, I realized I was saying what everyone was thinking, but it was probably not appropriate. So, yeah, so that kind of kicked it off.
Interesting.
And then I continued to go back to the UK, to Arthur Finlay to study. I went to Star. You said it right.
Oh, yay.
Sheila French runs that school, and it's a really great school there. She's lovely, and she's a great trans medium. And
They're really into that over there, aren't they?
Oh yeah, like they were like way ahead of us as far as I'm concerned.
Mediumship is like really, it's like it's important or something over there.
Yeah, but I think all of the psychic sciences are very much I feel like they've been around so much more and accepted so much more over there, way more than like still people are still trying to catch on here. Yeah. And you know, we're still trying to, like, I don't try to convince anyone of anything. Like, you believe, you don't, that's great. You don't know till you know. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So I'm not always like, well, here's why you should believe, because that's up to you. Yeah. You know, like, I'm not here to convince you. Yeah. I'm here to give you answers that I might have. Yeah. So, so I do continue to go. I think I'm going to go in August again.
Oh, really? Cool.
This year. Yeah. I try to go once every year. And then I decided I'm going to start working in the US more, because the US is kind of more free and the UK is a little more, like, they have laws that run mediumships and psychics. You know what I mean? They have to abide. Really? Yeah. Yes. Really? Yes. Huh. Yeah. So they have laws as to what you can say and how you present yourself, you know, like, and we don't have that yet. So it's much more, psychic work and mediumship there, I would say, is more structured, I guess.
Really?
Yes.
I mean, I knew that they were big into the validations, you know, and I knew that from the ones that I've seen that come here, but I didn't understand, like, what there's laws, which, you know, is probably not such a bad thing, but wow.
Yeah. I mean, like, I wouldn't say restrictions, that's a strong word, but they have to abide by rules when they do it. So it's just, we're not there yet, which I'm glad. But so they're very much more structured in how they, you know, how a reading goes. And, you know, I'm going to go back there and they're going to shame me because I'm now a relaxed American reader.
A relaxed American reader.
Yeah, like, it's just more lax, you know. It's not and I find, like, I'm more lax. I'm more of a tell it like it is, very relaxed, like, reader type. So I'm very much more of an American reader. but I learned a ton over there. Like, they're so good.
Oh, of course, you know. So I mean, it's extraordinary. The teachers that I've never been there, but the teachers that have come here that I've seen are just extraordinary. So
they're very good. Like, and there's amazing people here as well, but it's,
of course,
I just find it's very different. It's very different, but I like learning both. You know what I mean? I just like learning everything, obviously.
Yeah. You really enjoy, I know that we talked earlier and you were like, well, you know, I forget the word you used about, like, astrology. It's like you've taken some classes because you love it, but you wouldn't necessarily work in it. Is that correct, the way that I'm saying that?
I would. So I've taken some courses and I love it. It's fascinating. But what I said was, I don't feel qualified or as qualified as other people are to, I think there's so many amazing people out there that have taken years and years, and there's so much information and there's so many things to remember, and there's so many things that I haven't made the connections with yet. And it's outstanding to me that there are people that know all of these little things. Like, it's crazy. So yes, I've taken courses. Yes, I love it, but I don't feel qualified myself to be like, oh, you know, let me just tell you all about the stars, because I don't, you know, I'm not there. but I have taken courses and I do love it, but it's not like something that, something I study. It's something I will at some point take more, but it's not something that I, bill myself as, because I'm just not qualified, I want to be good.
Yeah, exactly.
And
So
I can't be good until I know everything.
you've been taking courses, or you tell me, the psychic detection thing. I am so fascinated by that. And I would love to hear how you got into it and what does that entail? Like, what do you do? Like, just, tell us. Because this is so, you guys, for those of you that aren't familiar with psychic detection, this is a part of mediumship that is like, I just respect so much. So I can't wait to hear what Melanie has to say about it. So go ahead.
So, just to be clear, I'm training. I don't do this work. I'm training to do this work, and I can't wait.
Yeah.
But so I actually started. I went to the International School of Clairvoyance, and I met Fan and Julie, and through them, I started looking into remote viewing. And then I joined IRVA, which is the International Remote Viewing Association.
Okay.
And then they had a conference.
Okay.
So I went to that, and then we had talked, and there was Pam Coronado, who is, she was on a TV show called Sensing Murder, like a live psychic detective show. And she was doing courses. So we started taking those courses. And I continue to take them. So she's incredible. And I can only hope to be as good as her one day. But it's fascinating. It's just
so okay, so if you could break it down for us though. Okay, so what is remote viewing? And then what is psychic detection? And you guys, if you all listening have any questions regarding this, please let us know, because this is like a new thing for me to learn about. So we ask questions. So go ahead. What is the difference? What does each one mean?
Okay, so it's hard to say, and I'm going to try my best.
Okay.
When I first got into like remote viewing, how it I can't remember who said it, but how it was presented to me is that you are projecting your consciousness to another place, location, whatever, and describing it. And so me as a psychic, I'm like reading a location, kind of, you know what I mean? So I started taking courses and, learning about the two things. And I just actually went to the Monroe Institute. I don't know if you knew that. And I took a remote viewing course, and from Joe McMoneagle, who was like the #1 CIA remote viewer for the government,
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah. It was incredible. So psychic work, mediumship is talking to spirit. Psychic work is I'm looking at you and I'm reading your energy. Like I'm merging with your energy, because we're all energy, and I'm reading you. So remote viewing is, how everyone says, it's our human right. We all are psychic.
Right.
How we all say that. And like, people don't understand, like, anyone can remote view. We all have this psychic ability. We all have the ability to remote view. And remote viewing is seeing and describing the unseen. Like, if I picked a location that was unknown to you, and then I would give you, like, this is very much simplifying it, but I would give you a number that represented that location. And all you had was this number. And then you would look at the number and you would start writing down the impressions you were getting. And that's basically what it is. So all you have is this number that represents whatever the target is. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So that's really all that it is. And it seems crazy because you're like, how are you supposed to know what something is by just this number?
Yeah, because it's
Well,
not even just a place. It could be a thing or a person too, right? It could be anything.
it could be an event. It could be an object inside of a box. It could be a building in underground. It could be anything.
Mm-hmm.
Initially, so remote viewing kind of got its start. And again, I'm simplifying, but so the US, like back in the 50s or 60s, the US found out that Russia, oh my gosh, Russia has psychic spies. We need to get psychic spies. So they started recruiting psychic spies. And like I said, I'm simplifying. So that is kind of how it started, because it was like this back and forth between Russia and the US. And that's kind of the beginnings of it. And then they started learning more about this, this ability. There was Ingo Swann. If anybody wants to look up Ingo Swann, he is like one of the first remote viewers. Joe McMoneagle. And so that was the beginnings of it. It was, with the government. Yeah. So now they're realizing that anyone can do it.
Yeah.
Like they've trained people for years. They just let people out. Anyone can do it. There's sites on Facebook where you can practice and learn how to do this. And it's really that we all have this psychic ability. We all have our consciousness where we're connected. And there's no better way to really realize that than by trying remote viewing. Like, it sounds, I know I sound like a crazy person, but it's true. I'm telling you, like.
No, but I'm thrilled that you're talking about it like this, because the reality is that we all need to understand that we all have psychic abilities,
Yeah. Yes, we all do. And it's not, it's like your intuition, your sixth sense, your mother's intuition, like whatever you want to call it, your gut, all of those things, like that is your psychic sense. That's your body telling you something. We've just dumbed it down.
Yeah.
And we don't listen. It's all there. And now we have psychics who are more open, and we're saying, oh yeah, I can feel this. I can see this. I can sense this. When everyone can, we're just saying like, hey, and they're like, oh, you're so magical. And it's like, but so are you. You just don't get it yet. You know what I mean? So that's always my goal, is to tell people like, yes, you can do that. You can do anything that I can do. If I can do it, anyone can do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
that's really cool. So Jay Perez NY91 says our sole purpose. So I was like, oh, kind of interesting. Very interesting, right?
As connected.
I'm sorry?
He said our sole purpose.
Our sole purpose. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, definitely. We are all connected.
Yeah.
I cannot, you have all of the woo-woo people and the witchy people. Oh, we're all connected. We're all psychic. Oh, it's true.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
Like, I don't know.
People don't want to know, like I was talking to somebody today, literally today, about the upcoming eclipse and the energy that's going to be coming forward. And they're like, you just watch too many movies. I'm like, are you kidding me? Just like,
I know, but like a lot, and that's okay, because there's, there's some people in this life, in their lifetime, where they aren't going to be interested in that.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
And that's why I say, like, I don't try to convince people of anything. Like, I'm here to answer questions. I'm here to help. Absolutely. If you have questions, I'll answer. I'm very straightforward. I tell it like it is.
Yeah.
But I'm not, if people are like, I don't believe in psychics, I'm like, cool. That
it's your choice.
For me, right? It changes nothing. So,
okay, then how does remote viewing work then into the psychic detection part? So
interestingly enough, so I was doing the remote viewing, which, like I described, there's a person, place, thing, whatever that is they decide, okay, the Statue of Liberty is going to be number 79. Nobody knows that. They don't tell anyone. They just give you the number 79 and you're supposed to try to see it. So
Cool.
yeah, simplified.
Yeah.
But very simplified.
No, but that's good because I think a lot of the people here have never heard of this before. So that's perfect.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, like, that simplified, you get this number, anyone can do it. Like you get a group of people and you'll have them all drawing and saying the same thing. And you're like, how is that possible? It's possible. It happens. It is. It just is. We are connected. So I'm studying the remote viewing. I'm studying under Pam Coronado, the psychic detective work. And I'm like, I'm a psychic medium. I get it. I get how I work. And I'm like, how do these two things work together? Like, I didn't know, because I felt like I was in a different place when I was doing remote viewing and then when I'm doing psychic work and mediumship work. So I needed to know. I didn't know. And that's why I actually just went to this course in remote viewing. It is, I would say it's similar to psychic work in that you're, you're relaxing your mind, you're opening your mind, and you're putting yourself in a place where you're open to receiving information.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's similar like that. But what I'm like, and I'm still figuring it out because there are differences. Like when I went to do remote viewing, so let me start over. When I do psychic work or mediumship work, I will sometimes see someone's, like I would see your grandmother standing behind you in my mind's eye.
Yeah.
When I was little, I used to see them. Now I don't. But in my mind's eye, I would see her and I'd be like, oh, I have this woman here. And she is, I see that she enjoys gardening. And I can describe what she's wearing. And I'm looking at a picture in my head. Right? I mean, is that how you work when you do mediumship? Like you'll just kind of see. Okay. So I'm going into remote viewing like that. But with remote viewing, it's kind of more what I understood is you kind of step back and you only see parts of the whole. You're describing, not naming.
Okay. Sure.
I know it's not going to make a lot of sense unless you look into both of them. But when you remote view, you're getting an impression.
Yeah.
So I have this number that I've given, which is the target, whatever that might be. And I'll get impressions. I'll get little flashes. And really, what's happening is my subconscious mind already knows.
Yeah.
Subconscious mind, once you make that connection, you have all the information. You have all the information you need. It's just a matter of you being able to like get your ego out of the way, get your conscious mind and not logically trying to make something up like, oh, it's this.
Yeah.
You just have to describe these little pieces of a puzzle that you're getting. And then in remote viewing, when you have all of this stuff written down, you don't get to know. You hand it off to someone else who has the answers to all the puzzle pieces. And they can look at your remote viewing and be like, oh yeah, she's dead on, and they will be, because you would remote view to answer a question. So like back in the 50s or 60s or whenever, does Russia have nuclear weapons underground? That's what they're asking, but they're not asking the remote viewer that. They're giving them a number.
Yeah.
So the remote viewer is going to look at this number and they're going to pull things and they'll be like, I see a big metal thing. You know what I mean? Like underground. So
that must be so amazing to do.
They know what they're looking for.
Yeah.
The remote viewer doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I know that's like, it's hard. It's really hard to make sense of all that. But
that's, you just explained it.
Anybody has questions and I can clarify, like I'm happy to do that, but it's, I'm still learning more myself, but there's similarities and there's differences. But basically, like as a psychic medium, I'll see someone and I can describe them fully because I can see them totally in my head. I'll see them gardening. I will see them, working on a car, For remote viewing, I wouldn't want to do that. It's just different.
Yeah. No, that's interesting.
That makes sense.
Well, it makes sense to me. If anybody has any questions, feel free to ask.
Yeah,
But it makes total sense to me. That's so fascinating. But so have you worked on any, like, I don't know, missing persons cases, or have you worked on any actual cases with the psychic detective work?
So what we do in the class is that these are solved cases. We don't know, but and if you see, so we'll get a picture of a victim. All we'll get is a picture, and we read the picture. We get everything that we can, and basically try to get who, what, when, where, things like that, or locations where they were found, where they can be found if they haven't been. What happened? Who pops into your head as a perpetrator? You know, those type of things. So we just get a photo, and when we're practicing, the photo is of a crime that already happened. So we know the answers, or they know the answers. So we all get our information. We all look at the picture. We all, you know, I see a vehicle. It's blue. There's a man. You know, we sketch. We will sketch perpetrators sometimes, and then we look at the answers and see what we got. See where we, you know, see where we can clean it up. See where we sometimes you, like I said, your conscious mind will take over and it starts telling you a story. You know, and you're going with the story instead of really, you know, focusing on what you need to be focusing on. So,
Ooh, that is just fascinating. Oh my gosh.
It's really fun. You should try it.
Do you, you know what? It's not something right now that is going to be like something I delve into, but boy, I have mad respect for you guys that are, you know, developing it as well as, you know, looking at different cases or whatever, missing people, whatever it is, you know. I have such mad respect for that, because that's got to be freaking hard, man. You know?
Yeah, it's nerve-wracking, but the thing is, like, I have, like, when I started thinking, like, what is going on? Like, why do I know these things? Why am I seeing this stuff all the time with people, and why is it getting stronger? When I really started looking into it, I thought, my first thought was like, if I can do this, I have to figure out how to help people with it. Because if I have this ability, it has to be to help people, right? It's not just for me to know. So I'm always exploring. That's why I like have so many things behind my name, is because I'm always trying to see, like, how can I make this work? What else can I do? What can I do with this? And how can I push it further? Like, I want to do more. And right now it's the remote viewing and the psychic detective work. And I'm trying to, like, and then I had to, like, figure out how these go side by side and how they don't.
So do you feel like that spirit led you to this point? Do you feel like, you know, I guess that's my question. Do you feel like that spirit led you to this point, or do you feel like this is where you were supposed to be all along, or like how do you feel like that?
I think that every day.
Really?
I mean, and you know, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about, because it's just how it works. I know that I've been led here, because when I was younger, I was like, why, like, as a little kid, when you kind of, like, I was seeing things that I knew to be true, but I was too young to really understand why people were doing things, and why I was seeing, you know, what I was seeing. You know what I mean? Like, I was too young to understand what was happening in general and why it was different from other people. So I just knew that when I was younger, I always constantly thought, like, why do people do what they do? Why do they act that way? Why do they? So when I went to college, I went to get a psychology degree. And that's what I have. I have a degree in psychology, because I wanted to understand, why do people do that? Why do the people do the things, like, I see people in loops and I'm like, why don't they see that?
Yeah.
You know, I see, you know, how their trauma is making them act, and how is putting them in a tailspin. Even when I was younger, I was like, why do they do that? Like, I don't want to do that. Why don't they see that? You know?
Yeah.
But I was seeing them in a different way. I was seeing different things around them, you know what I mean, that were giving me those cues. And I wanted to know why people did those things, why they do the things they did. Why would they hurt somebody else? Why would they be, you know? So I got a psychology degree. And then when I started mediumship, I was like, many times I'm sitting with someone in front of me and they're like, I just don't know what to do. And I at first I was like, oh my God, like this is like a counseling session. I'm not qualified for this. And then I thought, wait a minute, I am qualified. A psychology degree. Like, that's what I went to school for. You know what I mean? So like everything aligned.
Yeah.
You know, and I've always watched detective shows. I've always been interested in that, like why people do what they do. Why would they harm their spouse? Like my husband, I watch Snapped and like shows like that, and my husband calls it the evil channel.
What's Snap? I'm not familiar with
Snapped is like a show. Oh, that allergy thing is coming. Snapped is a show about oh my God, about women who killed their husbands.
Oh my God.
Because there's all these detective shows, like that one is Snapped, and then there's one called Buried in the Backyard. I swear, like, and I'm fascinated by it. It's my jam. And my husband is always like, "Do I need to be worried?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Do you?" But yes, the answer is yes. Like everything. I've always been interested in that, and now I'm doing psychic detective work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just, I think it all the time, like everything just aligns, and it's so interesting. And if anyone and not just this type of thing, and not just spiritual things or psychic work, if you look at your life and just kind of look at those patterns, you'll notice that everything brings you to where you're supposed to be. We always end up. You know, the roadmap, you can take a million different ways, but you're always going to get where you're supposed to be, always.
Yeah. That's so funny, because literally just as you started saying that, I started laughing, because I was just going to say the same thing, because that's if, you know, and I think the benefit of being, for me, 58 years old is that I have, 58 years to look back on and go, oh, that's why that happened. Oh, that's why that happened. That's why. And oh my gosh. And and it's so interesting, because the way I look at that is this: I am really happy and thrilled to be doing what I do. I'm like really at peace. I know, and somebody, Jay Perez had mentioned our soul purpose. I feel like I know why I'm supposed to be here on this earth. Yeah. And I feel so fortunate for that. And so I'm able to look back and say, now that's why that happened. And that's why that happened, of course. Yeah. But then when you think about it, there are other people who aren't happy where they're at. So I wonder if they, just because I'm in this place, I don't know what it's like to be in the place of, not happy with my life. And so looking back, what does that mean? Does that mean that they're in the wrong place?
No, I think that everyone, I truly believe that everyone gets to where they're supposed to be when they're supposed to get there. Yeah. And many times, that whole thing where those people always show up in a different body till you learn the lesson.
Oh yeah.
Those events they will keep happening until you learn the lesson. Those things will keep, my kids were just talking about something. They're like, well, this and this and this. And I said, well, that happened then, and then that's happening now. And the only thing that's still the same is you. So what do you need to change to change what you don't like? What do you need to change what's happening that doesn't suit you? You have to take that on yourself. And And I think that a lot of people will get that quickly and they'll be open enough to be like, holy cow, like I really am supposed to be doing this. Like all of those things like led me to here, and they'll see it. And then there's other people that have a really hard time letting go of childhood traumas, letting go of struggles in their lives and things that, all those things that hold all of us back. Some of those things are a lot stickier to other people than they might be for some people. Yeah.
So I just have to say, oh, go ahead. What?
No, it's okay.
Oh, I was just going to say, Theon's on. Hi, Theon. Yay. EvolveMe.com. It's such a beautiful community. I'm so fortunate, to have found all of you guys. Oh my God. It's like I found my people. Not that other people aren't my people too, but it's just, oh my God, So anyway, so Jay Perez NY91 says, sometimes I look at my family and realize why I was born into that family.
But that's a real thing, because you chances are you're either the black sheep or you're the peacemaker. You solve something somehow, and you're the fact that you can see those certain things in your family, like I bet if you talk to someone else in your family, they would have a completely different perspective than you would. Would you agree with that? I mean, that we find our place in our family, and like I'm the youngest of a large family, and I am grateful because my whole life I was able, again, to watch people and be like, why are they doing that? Why would they do that? And learn what I wanted to do and what I didn't want to do.
Yeah.
And to really piece together things that I was seeing and what made sense to me. So I totally get that.
Yeah, I do too. And it's so funny because, and again, I feel like age has something to do with that. It's like, and I always say this whenever like my daughter's 26 and she's living her life. She's doing good. I'm like really proud of her. Right. But I think to myself, oh my gosh, if I had only like, I want to tell her stuff, I mean, of course we want our kids to have a better life than we did at that age. And it's like, oh my gosh, just, I just want to tell her, do this, don't do that, do this, don't do that. But then I think, no, because it's her journey, and I say that because I say that about my friends too. It's like, it's their journey, and not even just friends, but just anybody, it's your journey. You have to go through it the way you're going to go through it, not the way I want you to.
Yeah. And but that's so true, because so many people, I always feel like I'm, God, my nails look so bright.
They're beautiful. They're green because it's March.
So I always feel like I'm not caring. Like I feel like I may appear like I don't care as much, but I'm kind of like, I've really learned exactly what you're saying. And it definitely comes with age, because I'm like, again, like I'm not trying to convince anybody that I'm a medium or a psychic. Like, I don't care if you don't believe it. Like, that's cool. Like, do your thing. Like, that's awesome. Like, that someone doesn't validate it doesn't mean that it's not true for me. Like, it's unfortunately. But it's like, just like you could tell your kids, oh yeah, do this, don't do that. And they may listen or they may not. But like, I feel like people think I'm less caring because I have learned to like step back and be like, if you want my opinion, I'll give it to you, but you're going to do what you want anyway. So I've just learned, like, it's okay. It's okay to let people screw up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We don't learn when we're doing everything right.
Yeah. Yeah.
We learn when we fuck up. You know
what
I mean?
Of course. Absolutely.
Messing up. And it's like, that's the best learning curve you get, is when you mess up. So I'm always like, so I've done my share.
Theon just said, we are much cooler than our kids give us credit for. I agree.
Theon also is in, she does my psychic detective work. She's in my course.
Yeah.
So we're in it. She's my psychic detective buddy.
That is so cool. Oh my
It's
gosh.
so
And then
fun.
I had Julie on. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh. She's got stuff. I mean, she's
she's
like,
got a lot of
I mean,
stuff.
she was a deputy. She's she's got a doctorate degree in like psychology and stuff and all of it's
Yeah,
just, she's amazing, you know. So,
I know.
oh, so Charsky says, at 35 years old, I'm just now starting to see how the dots connect in my life. I always felt lost, but once things started coming together, I'm like, oh, it all makes sense now. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, and that's it. And good for you for seeing it, because like
Yeah,
it's like life is hard, like this weird earth school. It's hard. And it's easy to be lost and like be like, what the hell is going on? But when you get to the point where you can actually look, like he said, like he or she, sorry, I can't see those.
yeah,
But you get to see those dots, like it just everything feels so much more clear and
yeah,
so much it makes more sense in this weird cosmic way, and you're like, what?
yeah,
But it's really nice when you can start putting those dots together, because um that's part of the journey, you
yeah,
know? Like
yeah,
that's part of where you get to be like, oh my God, like I've been doing it this whole time. Like
yeah,
that makes sense, and that makes sense. And
yeah.
so I
Well,
totally
and you
agree.
know what? I feel like, well, I feel really fortunate that I can say what I'm about to say too, is that like I feel like that I don't, and I'm not saying that I'm completely flawless in this, but like things
Awesome.
will happen, you know what I mean? And I'll be like, okay, now I will say that yes, I'm a control freak and I like to have things my way and blah blah blah, all that stuff. However,
We all have our things.
sometimes through this work and through my meditation and my development of my spiritual gifts and just my development with my own spirituality, I'm able to just say, okay, like I don't have to like be like all the time as much as I used to. Let's just say,
Yeah.
like I don't have to be the one that is totally in control or the one that, I don't have to do all that. And interestingly, J Prez NY91 says Dolores Cannon. I know that name. How do I know Dolores Cannon? Said it
Oh,
wouldn't be a test if we knew all the answers. So that's kind of an interesting thing. I
that's
know
right.
the name Dolores Cannon.
She has tons of books. She has cards. Like you know Dolores
I
Cannon.
think if I saw her, is she like an old, well, I mean, aren't we all
She's
older
older.
ladies?
She's passed now. She's
No,
passed.
you're not older. I'm older. But,
I feel older. But
yeah,
no, she's passed now. But she was
yeah,
um a visionary in
yeah.
this sort of thing. But
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, and that's the thing. It's like and again, it's with age, because when I was younger, I was like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah,
But now I'm like, I know, like you said, like, oh, I don't have to have so much control. I know I have limited control, and
yeah,
I know what's coming. Like I I tell things to people, and it bothers me when it's like a catchphrase, because it's like, but it's true, where I'm like, all the things that are coming for you they will come to you.
yeah,
Like you can't, like, not to say that you don't have to work for anything. You definitely need to work towards things that you want and make your way. But those good things, when you put good things out, that is a natural law that good things will come back to you. And when you put out the intention of getting where you're going to be, those things that are coming for you will come to you.
yeah,
They just will. And it's so nice when you get a little bit older, and even like now a lot of younger kids are able to look and be like, oh my gosh, that happened, and they're seeing that. And I think it's because I believe that because they were born of us, like
yeah,
we're more awakened and we can see things a lot more than like my parents. My mom was precognitive. I know she had gifts. It was not something she talked about, not something she told me about until she was 70 or 80. And I was like, you could have mentioned this a little bit sooner. Would have been a little more
so
helpful.
much would have been different.
Yeah, I would have known so much more, so much sooner.
You're
But
right.
now I'm very open to this. And each of my kids have had their own little I don't know what you want to call it, otherworldly experiences. And I've always been open to it. You know what I mean? And I empower them. I'm like, you're in charge. Like, you don't like it. What do you need to do? You know? And I didn't have that. And I say, and I think all the time, like, can you imagine if we had all of the full support and like the openness that we can afford our kids now? Like, I would be a superhero right now.
Yeah. I do agree.
But it is like, it's the progression of things.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I mean, I was just gonna say, I remember when I was really, I was in like, I don't know, like middle school or something. And, you know, I was raised very Catholic, right? So I remember going to this sleepover one night, like, you know, and it was all these girls and we were talking like ghost story type things. And it was really interesting because I was the one sort of, I wouldn't say I was the one that was sort of, you know, forwarding it, or that's not the right word, but like I was making it happen. But I remember stuff happening and I remember feeling like I was the one in control or whatever, not in control, but, you know, like, you know, and I think to myself, gosh, I wish I would have had somebody to talk to back then. That's why I love that show. Have you heard of the show? And I talk about this all the time, but Psychic Kids.
Yeah.
This with Tip Coffee was on there. They always have a psychologist and then a medium or whatever.
And then now they have Psychic Kids from the old shows are helping the new Psychic Kids. Yes.
Really? So where is that? Where can we?
I don't know what it's called, but look for it. And like I just saw it, and I remembered one of the old ones where it was one of, you know, this guy was a little kid and he was scared and all these things, and now he's on the show helping other kids, and I was like,
oh my God, I love that. That makes me really happy. Because boy, I'll tell you, you know, it's tough.
It would have been nice.
You know,
it would have been nice, and just a little. And plus, I grew up in a haunted house. You know, there was tons of people in my house. You know,
really,
like there was there. Now, if my family ever sees this, they're going to be like, "What?" There was people under our basement stairs. They knew my name, and like, you know, when you run up the stairs, you know, those stairs that you can reach your hand through. We had those in like the cement basement. So I would literally run up the stairs because you see, like, you know, you see all the horror shows where they reach through and they grab your ankle, and then I would scoot up the stairs. But then I would be like, well, why are they under there? Like, why would they grab my feet? Like, why would they? Like, they knew my name. They knew who I was. So like, I would be like, why would they grab feet? You know, and there was a farmer upstairs who would put heavy boots on and walk down the stairs. There was a guy in the room because we had a large house, and it was like, for the US, it was old. It was like 100 years old. And there was a guy, I know that he took his own life, and he was in my brother's room. And there was a girl. There was like, I honestly think there was a portal in one of the bedrooms.
So
later, and in the basement.
None of your family like saw any of this but you?
Well, I didn't tell anybody about it. I didn't say anything. Like, no, I didn't tell anybody. I don't think so.
Yeah. Interesting.
They don't talk about it. If they do, like it took me a long time to even say that I did this, or it was hard for me as a grown ass woman to say that I'm a medium. It was really hard. That was one of the biggest things. I am a psychic medium. It was so hard. Yeah. It was so weird. Yeah. So,
because you know they're going to find out anyway. So,
you what?
You know they're going to find out anyway at some point, right?
So we don't know. Like we don't talk about it. Nobody says anything. But like, my thing is on Facebook. It's all there, and I have some siblings that I do talk to, and other ones are like, So honestly, I don't know what they think, and I'm not too worried about it because I don't talk to them often. So
So, you know. Theon says, "Sheesh, now I want to go visit your childhood home."
Oh, you know, it's down now. We took it. It was destroyed. But if you went to the land, they are still there.
Yeah.
I would dream. I constantly have dreams of that house, and I'll have a dream that I'm in my own kitchen doing something, but it's actually that house.
Oh my
It's just,
God.
it always finds its way. And
Yeah.
my daughter was having dreams, and I had to go psychically go say, enough. You
Yeah.
cannot, because my daughter used to love the house, and I was like, enough. You cannot
Yeah.
intrude on her dreams. Like,
Yeah.
enough of that. So now she doesn't dream about that anymore. But
Oh my gosh.
yeah,
That's so interesting. Wait, I got to read some of these comments. Okay,
Yeah.
so Autumn Sunrise says, I really didn't embrace my gifts until this past year at the age of 40. So you go, girl. That's great.
Good.
And then
Good.
we've got Kelsey. First of all, Kelsey says, can you tell if my house is haunted? And then she's saying, I used to run up the stairs so fast all the time when I was young because I felt like somebody was behind me. Oh my God.
I know. And that's tough because, you know, like, I'm 52. So when we grew up, like, we had all these movies and all these things, and people thought like ghosts and all this stuff. And there wasn't anything besides it being a scary ghost, kind of, you know what I mean, back then. So, you know, but I, as a little kid, I was like, why are they under the stairs?
Yeah.
Like, why are they there? Like, what are they doing there? You know, like, why don't they come out? You know? So it was like, and I still don't know. And at the time, like, I know they came with the house, but yeah, I see that one. I used to run up the stairs so fast all the time. It's hard to know because now, as a medium, I think of all the things that I remember when I was little, and I sparingly tell the stories because some of them I'm like, did I make it up? You know, it's hard. It's hard to know because when you're little, I was so imaginative, and it's probably why I'm a good medium, because I'm able to be open and see. And so it's hard to know, like, if, and Kelsey, like, not to say anything, but like, it's hard to know if you were running up the stairs because you saw a scary movie, or if there was somebody behind you saying, hey, wait, you know, like, but everyone thinks it's bad, you know? Oh, I see a shadowy figure and everyone thinks it's bad. And I'm like, maybe that's your grandma and that's all she can muster. You know? And that makes me sad when people are programmed to think that everything is a ghost and everything is bad. And
bad. Right. The word ghost is synonymous with the word bad, and it's just not necessarily that way. So Kelsey says she's still living there and she doesn't sleep upstairs.
Where do you?
So I say meditate and see, meditate. Just keep meditating and see how it, if things keep happening, that you'll know.
Do you have, are the stairs wood at the top? Like a very, like, I'm seeing a dark wood. And is there one particular bedroom at the top of the stairs? I can see her text over here.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. That's good. So yeah, Kelsey, do you have?
Kelsey, if you can answer,
she might be typing.
Just curious.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. This is really. Okay, so while we're waiting for Kelsey to talk back, so Charsky says, I'm going through that right now. Oh, wait, hold on. Okay. Our very old house, but carpet and one particular bedroom upstairs. Yes.
Yeah, Kelsey, I would say, I think I already know the answer to this, but you've never felt like you were going to be harmed, did you? Like, scared as a little kid, like, what is it? But did you ever feel like you were going to be harmed? I mean, we can wait for her.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
What?
Well, no. Okay. So while we're waiting for Kelsey to come back, I want to say, Autumn Sunrise says, okay, hold on one second, because let me just read this. The redheads in my family have always had strong gifts, but we grew up Catholic, so we didn't engage. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So, and she signed up for I have a development circle starting this coming Saturday. So, that's good. Okay. So Kelsey said, I was so scared. I couldn't move. Then I would book it downstairs as fast as I could. Felt people in the room.
That's so really interesting. Kelsey, just what and I can't guarantee, but I think that what's with it, I think it's with the house or the like I'm debating whether it's the land or the house, but I think it's with the house. And have you acknowledged it's almost like see me is kind of what I'm picking up, where the house was moved there. That's interesting, because that's why I was like, I don't know if it's the house or the land.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, it almost feels like a see me, you know, like almost like if you just acknowledge it. And have you ever actually said, like, I don't like it when you do this. I don't like someone behind me. Don't do that. Like if you kind of state those things and see if it changes. I understand that you're here. I feel you here. Yes. I don't want you to be behind me. Like that, those type of statements to acknowledge that, you know, that they're there instead of running, that might help.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because
You have to create your own boundaries. You know, you can't, like, if you're really, if you find yourself being really scared, like to the point where you think it's whatever, you have to create your own boundaries and be really forceful and say, no, you know, like Melanie was talking about before, you know? So,
yeah. And I think that if you really just, I mean, and you can get back at Lauri about this, but I feel like if you really just acknowledge the present. Yes, I feel you here. You're making me uncomfortable. I need you to back up. I'd say the switch is off. No one can come in here. However you want to do it. Yeah. However you want to do it. It's your house. And you can be like, here's what I don't mind if you're here. I don't want you to bother me. I don't want you to bother my kids or my family or whatever. I don't like feeling that way when this happened. And like really just talk and just say, and it's your house and we are in the physical and we're in charge of, like, we're in charge of the physical state. We're material. They are not. So just talk and talk out loud, talk in your head. I don't think that it really matters for you. Yeah. But just, you know, talk like you would talk to a normal person. I don't like it when you do that. Yeah. I don't mind that you're here, but it makes me really uncomfortable. Like things like that, and see what happens. And get back to Lauri. Let her know. I would love to know.
Definitely want to know. Definitely want to know. So I can't believe how fast this hour went. It's 8 o'clock already. Oh my gosh. So how can people find you? And I'm going to put it in the stuff, but I want people to know how to find you.
I am so at Medium Melanie Rose everywhere. Medium Melanie Rose, TikTok, Medium Melanie Rose, Instagram, YouTube. I have all those things. I don't love making videos on TikTok, but I will, and I'm working on it. Lauri knows this.
You're so cute.
I don't love it, but I'm doing it. I'm learning and I'm putting them out there, and I'm so overdue for putting one, and I will soon. But I do have a TikTok and I answer questions there. And I feel like I have a different, maybe not a different perspective, but my perspective is growing up as a psychic medium, because it's kind of always been there. And then I've learned to develop what was already there. Yeah. Which is typical of everyone, but I was aware that I had the abilities when I was little. So it's just a different twist on it. So I don't get really excited when I wake up and someone's looking down at me in my bed. You know what I mean? Like I'm not that stressed out. Like, I kind of am like, I know I'm in charge, and I'm like, back off, you know, I'm sleeping, not now, like that type of thing. Yeah. And it doesn't happen anymore. So you just hold your boundaries, and I'm a big boundary girl.
Yeah. There you go. That's great.
Yes, awesome. At Medium Melanie Rose.
Do you have a website?
I do, actually. I don't know exactly what it is. I mean, it's Medium Melanie Rose.
Social media friends.
Just Medium Melanie Rose everywhere.
Medium Melanie Rose across the board. I love it. That's great.
All my information is out there. You'll find me.
Awesome. That's great. Theon says, haha, love you both, but it's way past my bedtime on the East Coast.
Mine
I love it.
It's 10
Love it.
here. I never stay up. I go to bed at 8 if I can. I go to bed
I know.
early.
And there we have it. So
I know, but this was worth
Melanie,
it.
I so appreciate you coming on. This was so fascinating. And I love talking about, I mean, when Tham was on, we talked about remote viewing and psychic detection. And I just feel like that this might sound silly, but I feel like that I haven't learned a lot about it. So I feel like it's like something new, at least it's something new to me. Right? Let's put it that way. So, and I think it's fascinating for people that aren't aware of what you can do with it. So I love having these conversations. So thank you.
Yeah. And there's a bunch of different types. So it's really interesting. And even if you just Google it and look it up, it's really interesting. And literally anyone can do it. I just made my husband and my daughter try it. And they both kind of drew the same thing. And they were like, and I was like, see, I told you, like, just a connection. So
that's so cool. Awesome.
It's fascinating. I love it.
That's so cool. So cool. Yeah. So, well, thank you so much for being here. And look up, everybody, look up Melanie Rose. She's all over the place on social media.
Media Melanie Rose, that's me.
And I appreciate everybody being here tonight. And until next week, I've got Just Be Inspired coming next week. So that's going to be an interestingly lively show, I have a feeling. So enjoy your week. Enjoy non-daylight savings time. And namaste, everybody. Take care.